Journey mapping is that. And here's what comes next. Journey maps are like blueprints without builders. They're impressive but inert. They're beautiful, insightful, but useless, unless someone owns the outcome. If you've ever felt that your journey maps don't lead to real change, this video will show you why and what to do instead, because I want you to learn why journey management as an idea is transforming insight into accountability and continuous improvement rather than like having these wonderful journey maps hanging on walls. Most journeys end up in drawers, not because they're wrong, but because they're not designed to drive change. In fact, Gartner found that over 80% of customer journey maps fail to drive measurable business outcomes, often because they lack ownership and aren't integrated into operations. I have seen brilliant maps created with great intent only to end up on the wall but unused 6 months later. I was part of this problem, right? For years, my agency would develop high-quality customer journeys based on research, data analysis, and we got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to deliver insights to teams all across the world. This video is about a story that changed it all. Now, not many people notice, but this actually happened. I'm standing in this big innovation kitchen, one of those like fancy innovation workshops we did pre-COVID for large corporation. And we were about to take the management team. There were even 2 board members coming and a lot of people across the organization through 3-month trajectory. We've done research and understanding the customer experience in 4 different countries that this company was active in. And in that room, we were about to bring in leadership, business people, managers, designers, everyone who participated in it, and customers were already in that room with us. The walls were literally filled with journey maps, personas, validated solutions, post-its, wonderful screens. Like the room was filled with all the body of work that we've created. The goal was to get buy-in from the team to make something happen. And a couple of minutes before everyone started coming in, I look at my partner who ran the project with me, like, OMG, we failed. And he knows it, and I know it, and we failed big time. At that moment, everyone comes in, the room is open, and one of our stakeholders starts the presentation. And for the next 15 minutes, that room was on fire. Everyone loved it. They could see what we've done. The customers were sharing like their frustrations, but also the validated solutions that we were co-developing with them. It was a wonderful display of customer centricity as you would like it. And in the end, the team got the budget to move this project forward and to actually deliver the solution that they wanted to do. From that perspective, it was a great success. But we know we failed because the next day we're walking into this office and the room was clean. And there was some other team doing some usual business stuff in that room. And when we were going to some of the teams that we've been working with, everyone was heads down in their laptops, working on the usual stuff, chasing their KPIs, making their reports. And this was the problem. Our journeys were static artifacts. They capture a moment. They make people excited, but they need to evolve. They just don't keep up. And that room was only there for that moment in time to help teams understand this one thing. Okay, great. And that's where a journey map is super useful. But from there, no ownership, no accountability. All the other insights and opportunities we uncovered were lost because who cares? We got this one thing out of them. And the cycle, again, starts from the start. We got hired by this next team to do it again and again. And that was the moment when we said, enough. It's ridiculous. This doesn't scale. It's a wonderful way of doing a project, but you can't be serious. If you want to drive a customer-centric strategy for your business and you want to unite these teams, journeys are a great way to do this, but not by hanging them on a wall. And today, a digital wall, it just doesn't work like that. The life cycle of a typical map is going something like this in the old days. It's researched, it's created, mapped, it's stuck on a wall, digital or like literally on a wall. It's looked at once and then ignored. And that's the end of it. Sometimes the life cycle continues because it just is sticking on that wall, but it's a useless thing. Even when problems are well articulated, there's rarely a process or a team responsible for solving everything around them. Okay, onboarding is broken, we know it, but whose job is it really to fix it? Is it a product team? They have a ton of things to do. Is it a marketing team? that is not giving us the right leads? Is it sales that is selling the wrong product in the first place, or selling something that isn't really there, so we still need to build it? So there's all these different ways of thinking about a simple thing like an onboarding journey, right? So we are using journey maps to get to that insight, but then if we are not ready to act and we are not ready to continue to act, nothing sticks. So this is where journey management comes in, using the journeys to support decisions across every stage of the business, every stage of the customer experience, and bringing that together. It should have defined ownership, metrics, and governance. That's a video for later, but it's not just a shared view, it's a shared plan. So we are going to talk about replacing snapshots with systems. It embeds accountability across journey stages, because when you think about it, journey management, like using this process continuously, but also feeding it with live data and making sure that actually like this is something that scales and not sticks on a wall as a project output, becomes like a decision support system. BCG reports companies implementing a journey-based governance model see a 20 to 30% lift in customer satisfaction and operational efficiency. So in the other video about silos, we talked about where these operational efficiencies can be created, because the misalignment across teams, collecting data in different parts of the business, not contextualizing it together, all leads to slow or no action and ultimately creates a huge delivery cost that no one really wants to have. So how do we go from alignment to action? Because the thing is, what we're trying to say here is we need to go from passive alignment. Yes, we agree. This journey makes sense. This insight makes sense. This pain point makes sense, to active alignment. So now we're going to take action. We're going to do this. You're going to do that. Here's how we're collectively taking action from this. Okay. So there's a couple of things you can do right now without making it into governance and end-to-end transformation in your company. No, it's rather simple. 1, mapping out a decision-making journey. So this still, like, mapping is a start. It was never the end game, but you still need to understand, like, step by step what people are going through. So the first thing you can do is to really understand how decisions are getting made, so that once you ultimately get the data and understand where the friction is, where the pain points are, where you can move the needle, you also know where the decision critical points in that stage process are. So mapping out the decision-making journey is a great place to start, and you'd be surprised by how long or complicated it can get. You know who's really good at this? Sales teams, enterprise sales teams. When they're working with a customer, they're continuously asking about, hey, how decisions are being made? Like, when we're moving this forward, who needs to sign this document? What is procurement's role? Can we bring in a person to talk to? Should we have an NDA in place? Do we need to have a DPA? Who's responsible for that? So they're literally in their head sometimes mapping this all out with their prospective customer. So to really understand like how decisions are being made, they're helping the customer move along in the buying journey if they're willing to buy the product in the first place. So as you can see, mapping it out is a wonderful way to basically tackle how in your organization decisions are getting made across these different teams. Now, the second thing you want to do to really move beyond like mapping and go for a management practice is asking upfront, who will act? Onboarding is a problem. It's a pesky, multi-headed hydra in terms of like where all the problems are. So the questions really are like, let's say we're doing a right data collection, we're doing the research, and we're bringing all these like parts of the onboarding experience together, using the journeys to understand where people are and what they're doing to move their goals forward. And when we uncover friction, when we uncover problems that will help our business be more effective, once we have that, who will act? Typically, multiple people from multiple teams need to act. Product needs to deliver new capabilities. We need to change the policies. We need to improve our content on the website, on the portal, on the places where people actually get the detail on how our product or service actually is onboarded, implemented. So there's multiple teams that need to act when we get them. So bringing them in early on to really understand like, hey, if we're going to focus on this part of the experience, who is going to act is a key thing to really understand we can work with our journey. We can continue to work with our journey. And it's not a matter of like acting once, it's continuing to act and using the data to refine where and what we need to act on. Okay, and the last thing, it's the obvious one, but a very important one, ask upfront, what do we need to see to know we're successful? Like this large journey initiative was basically successful because the team got the budget to execute this customer-centric solution that they wanted to do, and they wanted to figure out what the right way of solving the problem was. And they ultimately got the budget, the resources to do that. But was that really successful? You could argue it wasn't, because ultimately we want to not see it through. We also want to create that feedback back to that customer journey and see like before it was like this and after it was about that. So what do we want to see? Do we want our customers to do it faster? Do we want our customers to do it better? Meaning like more people actually achieve that outcome that they are setting out to do. That's one way of looking at it. But you could also say like currently people are complaining about all these different things and they experience a lot of friction in that journey. Still, they're able to do it, but it's not nice. So what about less feedback, less pain? And this is where journey management kicks in, because once you've mapped it out, when you should understand where the pain points are, if you're able to act, okay, if you're able to understand where decisions get made so that we can act, and there's multiple actions following this, there's maybe multiple projects on the back of this, we want to see this continuous cycle of improvement, of change going on. And it could well be that the first thing we want to do is that from all the different places where we collect data, where we collect feedback from our customers, we want to see the pain go away. So from the moment of implementing a solution on this part of the journey, we don't want to have any customers complaining about it anymore. That's also a way to say we are successful, because in the context of making people experience this journey as a smooth and delightful way of doing business with us, removing that friction is important. Mapping was a step forward, but it was never the end game. If your journey isn't driving change, it's time to move on beyond the map and into the workflow. And that's why we created Daydo. If you want to know why and how your journey insights can actually drive decisions and create accountability for the actions and the follow-up from those actions, check out our AI-powered journey management platform. We've not only built AI to help you map out all your insights to the right journeys, because that takes a lot of time, but we're also solving the structural parts mapping never actually could. But it also helps you to go from data to decisions, because that is really hard to do when you're relying on journey maps, fancy mural boards, and all these like different parts of the data that is scattered across different tools. But if you have shared journeys across teams, it will be much easier to collectively act on the new data that is coming through. And once things get built, you don't need to map it out another journey and understand like what is the new experience now? What will be the changes and how is that affecting? Which is again like a multi-month cycle in some cases. No, you can track your results back directly to the journey, see your KPIs go up or your friction go down. And that's the beauty of a journey management practice. So if that sounds like something you are doing, but you're doing it in a manual, ad hoc way across many different teams, highly recommend check out Daydo's journey management tools, because it will make your life so much easier. See you for the next one.